I just want to get your commentary on what's happened in the last 48 hours with the sell-off and the volatility that we have seen. How do you explain it?
Yeah, listen, there are a few things that happened. One, crypto had a pretty awesome few months, right? I mean, Ethereum went up almost 3x, Solana went up a ton. And so markets at one point get a little bit long, and it takes just a little bit for people to get nervous and some of the leverage to come out. We saw what it looked like some big Chinese mining selling. You also had, Arthur Hayes, who's one of the real thought leaders around crypto. He put out a pretty bearish commentary around Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is the only token in the top 10 that didn't exist a few years ago, right? It's a decentralized version of Binance, if you want to think about it. And it's a pretty spectacular story with the amount of growth it had. And Arthur said, hey, wait a minute, I think it's gone too far. The founders are going to sell. And so Hyperliquid really got hit the hardest. And that, I think, kind of hit some of the overall sentiment in the market. And so I think this is just a pullback. Crypto has been kind of soft. Bitcoin's been kind of soft because a lot of the action moved away from Bitcoin. But if you had told someone 4 months ago that you're going to be nervous with Bitcoin at 112, they would have had a big grin on their face, right? And so you have to keep things in context. We're still up significantly on the year, both Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana.
Speaking of keeping things in context, a lot of people have been saying that crypto price movement can foretell stock prices as well, more broadly. It's like a leading asset class. Do you subscribe to that? Do you believe that?
I'm not sure. Listen, I think sometimes it feels leading and sometimes it feels lagging. We are in a euphoric moment in stocks, and there is a lot of excitement all around this AI theme. AI is powerful. It is going to change the way we do things. I was literally just in a meeting with my management team talking about AI at Galaxy. And every single C-suite in the world is having that same conversation. And so that creates bubble-like excitement. And we've got valuations in the NASDAQ and the S&P as high as we've seen them. And so it's a really hard market because it's got huge momentum and excitement around a real story, but it's got valuations that get you really nervous. And the interconnectivity of NVIDIA, OpenAI, Oracle, the vendor financing, web, that gets you nervous. Like valuation, creating more valuation. And so I think you've got a market that's nervous. That doesn't mean it's not going to go a lot higher, right? The last leg of great bull markets always surprises people on how powerful it can be. And I'm not saying this is the last leg, but it very well could be.
So if you're looking at that in terms of the equity market right now, how does that translate over to the way you're thinking about crypto and where we could be in the cycle when it comes to crypto right now? And not every token is created equally. I know you love Ether and Solana, and you're traditionally going back to Bitcoin, but what does it mean for crypto?
Well, listen, crypto traditionally has traded with 4-year cycles, and that would be ending in December, right? Halfway between the halving is usually where our peaks have been. And the end of 2017, if you had sold everything in December, you looked pretty smart. And the end of 2021, if you had sold everything in December, you looked pretty smart. And now here we are, October of 2025, at all-time highs at almost every token, and you're wondering, should you sell everything in December? Listen, what could be different, and I think probably is different, we have gotten one piece of legislation out of the U.S. called the Genius Act, stablecoin legislation, and in all likelihood, sometime in mid-November, we're going to get the second piece of legislation, which will help define what a security and what a commodity is, and a lot of other rules around crypto in America. That's a big deal. With those two bookends of legislation, it's going to unleash a tremendous amount of new participation in crypto. I mean, think about it. You can't use stable coins on your iPhone yet. There's almost zero chance in the next few years you won't be able to use stable coins on your iPhone or on your Samsung Galaxy phone or or in almost any social media app. You couldn't before because they weren't necessarily legal. Now they are.
Yeah.
And once the U.S. government puts its imprimatur on this industry, which it has, we have the most crypto-friendly SEC one could imagine.
Yep.
You're going to have this new wave of participation. And so we might not be in the traditional cycle.